Today we're going to focus on rates. So when we talk about a rate, it is a type of ratio. So we're still comparing two quantities, but they're different units. We have the unit rate, which compares a quantity to one unit of another quantity. So we found unit rates for things like how many jumping jacks we could do in 1 minute, how many times we could hop on one foot in 1 minute. Then we have equivalent rates, which just mean they have the same unit rate. There's a typo there that says unit rate, but it should say unit rate. Okay, so here's an example down here. We have some pizza boxes. Okay, there's 3 pizzas here. So the rate was $27 for 3 pizzas. So if we wanted to know the unit rate, we would just compare it to the cost of one pizza. So $9, one pizza. Okay. So let's look at some examples down here of just writing rates. So this is what we call a double number line. So we've got a few different visuals now. Remember, we've looked at tape diagrams, we've looked at ratio tables. Today we're going to introduce double number lines. So we're just a number line on top and a number line on bottom. So this is showing the points that you earn for hitting notes in a music video game. So this makes you think of like Guitar Hero or something like that. So what we're going to do is write a rate. So there's several different ways you could do it. I'll give you one example. Okay, I'm going to look at this one. I could say, okay, 600 points for every 4 notes. That would be one example. 600 points for every 4 notes. Go ahead and pause your video and write another example of a rate for me. Alright, so in this example we have a piece of space junk, whatever it is, and it travels 5 miles in 8 seconds. So I went ahead and highlighted that. What we're going to try to figure out when we're done here, I'm going to put a box around this question, is how far does it travel per second? So that means per 1 second. We're trying to find the unit rate. We're going to use a ratio table, and then we'll divide by 8 to get our equivalent rate where we're comparing to 1 second. So we could probably do this one in our head. Okay, we're just going to kind of utilize our knowledge of fractions here. But the ratio table would be how we would justify or show our steps. So what I'm going to do is compare distance to time. So I have distance and time. Distance I'm measuring in miles. So I'm going to put that here. Time is being measured in seconds. All right, and then I'm just going to draw a really quick T-chart, like this. And we know that it's 5 miles, 8 seconds. So if we want to figure out how much time, or how many miles in 1 second, I know to get from 8 to 1, I have to divide by 8. So I'm going to go up here and do the same thing. I'm going to divide by 8. So it's just like a fraction. Whatever I'm doing to the bottom, I do to the top. Whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom in order to keep it equivalent. So 5 divided by 8, I'm just going to leave that as 5 divided by 8 like this. All right, so we would say it travels 5/8 of a mile per second. Okay, let's look at another example. So down here we have a chef. He buys 6 pounds of salmon fillets for $51. Okay, the question is, how much will he pay for 9 more pounds? So here's what we know, and then I highlighted that. I'm going to put a box around the question to make sure we answer it when we're done. Okay, so we're going to use a ratio table again. We're going to find our unit rate. So we're going to figure out how much does 1 pound cost, then multiply to get to 9 pounds. So we're comparing the cost, which is measured in dollars, to the amount of salmon fillets, which we're measuring in pounds. So I did include those units there so I don't have to write them each time. Quick little T-chart here. Okay, so what we know is that 6 pounds of salmon fillets are $51. So I'm going to put 6 pounds in here, and then $51. Okay, in the directions here, it says we're going to find the unit rate. Okay. So that means I'm going to figure out how much does 1 pound cost. Then I'm going to multiply to figure out how much 9 pounds cost. So to do this, to get from 6 to 1, I'm going to divide by 6. And to get from 1 to 9, then we multiply by 9. So up here, you're going to take 51 and divide it by 6. You will get a decimal number. Once you get that answer, you're going to multiply that by 9. That way it matches what we did on the bottom here to keep it equivalent. Go ahead and pause your video and figure those two spaces for me. Okay, so when I divided this by 6 to get my unit rate of 1 pound, and I divided this, I got 8.5, which means 1 pound of salmon is $8.50. So now to figure out how many 9 pounds cost, I multiplied that by 9 and I got 76.5, which means the chef will pay $76.50 for 9 more pounds of salmon. All right, now let's look at another example. This time you buy 2 pounds of tilapia fillets for $16. So what's the cost for 7 pounds? Okay, so similar problem, different numbers here. So this time we're trying to figure out how much 7 pounds cost. So we're going to use a double number line this time. The reason being is because we're working with $16, and you can easily cut that in half, fourths, eighths, so a double number line is going to work really well. So how this works, very similar to a tape diagram. I'm going to use a ruler, and I'm just going to start by drawing a small vertical line here. Doesn't matter how tall. Then I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to draw a line horizontally across this way, and I am going to put a little mark at each centimeter. Like this. Okay, kind of like we do with the tape diagram. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom part and draw another line. Like this. And then I'm just going to extend those little tick marks down through the second number line to show equal size spacing. So really, it's just what it sounds like. We have 2 number lines, and they're just comparing 2 different things. So we start at 0 and 0. So we're still comparing the cost to the tilapia. So this top number line is going to represent the dollars. This bottom number line represents the pounds. So if I spend $0, I get 0 pounds. If I purchase 0 pounds, it's going to cost me $0. Okay, so what we know here is that we bought 2 pounds. So I'm going to go down here to pounds, and I'm just going to label, okay, so this would be 1 here, this first line. I'm going to say this is 2, so then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just labeling the pounds down here. So what we do know is that 2 pounds is $16. So I'm going to make that 2 line up with the 16 here. What we want to figure out is what is the cost for 7 pounds. So here's my 7, that would be here. And I'm trying to figure out what this number is. So there's a number of ways you could do this. You could just skip count, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if this is 16, okay, well, add another 16 here, then another 16 here, and then another 16. So that's one way you could do it. And then you know the 7 is in between the 6 and 8, so figure out what number would be in the middle of 48 and 64. The other option is to look for patterns like we do in our ratio table. I know 2 times 8 is 16, 4 times 8 is 32, and so on. So go ahead and pause your video and figure out what number would be lined up here with this 7. Okay, so I got 56 here. That's halfway between 48 and 64. I also know 7 times 8 is 56. So the cost for 7 pounds of tilapia fillet is $56.